Hello and welcome to another Anakari walkthrough video. My name is Jason and I'm going to be showing you how to author presets and create your own sounds using the standalone version of Anakari. Whenever you first open it, this is what it looks like. This is the default instrument and it sounds like this. So we're going to make something entirely from scratch. I'm going to select all of these objects and delete them. Press the delete key. And now we have an entirely blank canvas to work from. And let's see if we can recreate that structure that we just heard. I like having the grid on whenever I'm dragging objects in, just to be more organized and orderly and such. So I'm going to click on my grid toggle button here, and that will bring up this nice three-dimensional grid. And any object I place will fall on one of the segmented lines here. So let's just start rebuilding that object we just heard. Start with a body object, drag that in right there in the middle. Then I'll get a couple of anchors. This. And in order for these objects to interact with each other, they have to be connected. Body and anchor objects are connected via springs. So to use a spring, I just click and drag it onto one of the objects and then click the other end to the object it is connected to. And now I've established a connection between this anchor and this body. We'll do the same thing here. And now I've got a pretty basic structure, about the most basic structure you can have. In order to get sound out of this, I have to introduce energy into it. I have to get it moving, get it vibrating. That is what generates sound within Anakari. So to do that, I have to use an exciter object. Anakari has 5 different kinds of exciter objects: the mallet, the audio input, the oscillator, the bow, and the plectrum. Each one has its own unique way of introducing energy into a system. I'm going to go with the mallet here and place it right there. And then I have to connect it to some point in my object, some point in the structure so that it knows where to put that energy. Because if I just press MIDI keys now, you can see the mallet is moving. It's reacting to my MIDI notes, but it's not doing anything because the energy that it would introduce doesn't know where to put it. So we just have to tell it focus on energy at this point. To do that, I'm going to use an exciter link. Click and drag it in. Click and drag it to the exciter, and then make the connection to the object. Let me turn off my grid so you can see this a little better. So there is the exciter link that connects the exciter to the object. And now whenever I press a MIDI note, you can see that it is introducing some energy there. It's getting my object to move, but we're not hearing anything. And that is because in order to hear any sound generated from an instrument on a car, you have to have a microphone. So let me turn my grid back on, and we're going to drag in a mic object. And let me get this orientated in the correct direction. So I'm going to turn on the rotate toggle up here. And now whenever I click and drag an object, it will change its orientation rather than moving it within the grid. And I can turn that back off with the R key. And now the mic object is there, but if I press notes, still not hearing anything. I have to connect the mic to the object. I use a mic link, and it works the same way as the exciter link. Just click and drag it to the microphone, and then click the object you wish to attach it to. I'll go ahead and turn down the volume a little bit. I don't know how loud this is going to be right off the bat. Let's also turn off our grid just so we can see what's happening with the mic line and the exciter line. And let's see what happens whenever I press a note now. Okay, so we're hearing some sound. Let's adjust some properties so we can better hear the sound. First, I'm going to turn the mic up because that is a little bit of a low sound. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, so let's try to adjust how this sound is sounding. So I'm going to click on first the body object because I noticed it has a really long release. I want to try to shorten the sound a little bit, so I'm going to use the damping parameter on the body. Damping controls how quickly energy dissipates from an object. So by turning it up a little bit, that movement should not last nearly as long. Yeah, there we go. Have a nice shorter sort of sound. Yeah, what other properties can I adjust here? I'm going to change the orientation of my mallet here to try to, so its focal point is hitting the object in a way that makes it sound more musical to me. So let me turn on my rotate again, and let's point that where it is producing object in, or it's introducing energy in the object in the right spot. I want that at about -90. I'm going to manually type that in. And let's see how that sounds. Hey, there we go. That's sounding a little more like what we started with. I'm going to change the spin here just so we can see the mallet object a little better. Also, if I double click on this, it will default to whatever the default position is. So that's an easy way to get a nice straight orientation there. Great. So now we have pretty much what we started with. It's not quite the exact tone or the exact notes that we're playing with. It's not tuned correctly. Whenever I press a C key, that's not exactly a C, is it? Let's see if we can tune this more accurately. So I'm going to go up to my options and I'm going to click Show Tuner. And this opens up my tuner tool. And what this tries to do is any audio that is escaping from Anakari, coming out of the speakers, it tries to detect the pitch of it. So if I press a C note, that is detecting it as an A note. So we need to make some adjustments here to get this where a C note is a C note. So to do that, I'm going to click on the body object, and I'm going to adjust the mass property. And we're going to see if we can adjust the tuning just with that. So I'm going to start with my regular slider here. Play some notes while I adjust. That's getting pretty close. Let me use the precision slider so I can make more more fine adjustments. And let's see if we can get it closer to the C. There we go. Yeah. So that is just one sound that has been tuned a particular way. And so now we have an accurate chromatic sound that goes across our keyboard. When we play C, it's a C, and every other note corresponds to it. So from here, we can just sort of work on the texture of the sound and try to make it more interesting and see what we can do to make it a little more fun. So I'm going to turn on my grid because we're going to add in some more objects. I want to do a little modulation on this. I want to have the sound change over time as I'm playing it. So an easy way to do that is with one of our modulator objects. So the most basic one is the LFO. I'm going to click and drag that in, put it right there. And an LFO is something that just operates on a waveform. It's constantly moving. It's constantly changing its values up, down, up, down, up, down, depending on the waveform you select. Right now it's a sine wave, so it's a very even sort of up and down. But you can change it to more rigid shapes like a sawtooth, a rectangle. You can even have it be really chaotic with white noise and sample and hold. But for our purposes, I'm going to leave it on the sine. And what I want to adjust is we were matching pitch by using the mass property on the object. I want to have a little bit of vibrato in my sound. So I want to take that mass property and I want to just add and subtract a little bit to it over time. And I can do that with my LFO. I need to connect the LFO to the object first, the body object. And to do that, I use a modulator link, just like any other kind of link. I click and drag it to the modulator, and then click on the object I want to modulate. And right off the bat, it's already selected the mass object. There's only two properties you can select with bodies right now, and that is the mass and damping. So right off the bat, it's already doing something. You can see it's changing the mass. It's kind of moving it up and down, up and down. The amount that is changing it right now is this depth control, changing it by 1. That's a pretty big number for the mass. So if I play it now, that's kind of making the pitch jump around a little too much. I want to reduce this so it's not quite as drastic a change. So I'm going to grab my depth and I'm going to reduce it pretty low. I'm going to go down to, let's try 0.4, see how that sounds. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of vibrato. In fact, I could increase that just a little more. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, so that's just a nice way I can vary the sound up. And I can use this same LFO and I can change other parameters to introduce other sorts of variations. For instance, let's do something with the mic over here. Right now, the microphone is just kind of picking up the sound. It's not really doing anything directionally. I can manually change the panning like this. But I want to introduce something a little more fun. I'm going to use the directional properties of this microphone. In order to do that, I need to increase directionality. Whenever the microphone is set to 0, it doesn't employ any kind of directionality. So if you move the microphone around, it has no effect on the sound. The mic is acting in sort of an omnidirectional pickup pattern. But if we increase the directionality to 1, it's going to be very directional. So now if I change it, notice how the sound kind of tapers off a little bit as the mic points away. I want to take advantage of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my LFO to automate that movement a little bit for me. So I'm going to grab a modulator link, put it on my modulator, and then drag that over to my microphone. And right away, it's already moving one position back and forth. That's not the one I want to change. I'm going to go over here to rotate. And I'm going to make the mic sort of wiggle back and forth like that. And so if I play notes, not really a whole big change. Let's try increasing the depth a little bit so we can make it taper off a little more. That's a little too much. Back off a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better. I'm going to reduce that just a hair more. Great. So our sound is starting to get a little more character, a little more pizzazz to it. Let's see what other types of modulation we can add in. Another common one is an envelope trigger envelope. And that is something that employs a sort of predetermined shape. So I'm going to drag one of these guys in, put it right here. And the shape is determined by this envelope. These envelope settings determine how quickly it changes the parameters that you point it towards. Attack is how fast it goes into effect. Decay is how fast it reduces to this medium level that's determined by the sustain. And release is how fast it goes out of effect once it stops being triggered. So let's put it on the mic parameter. I'm going to go back to my modulator link, drag it onto this, and then select the mic. And I'm going to select the position as isotropy, or isopatry, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. And what I want to do is I want to have just a little quick burst of distortion whenever I first hit this. And then I want it to just quickly sort of taper off. So I'm going to go into my, my envelope generator here. And I'm going to set my attack to very, very fast, like about a little less than 0.1, 0.9. And I don't care about sustain because I'm almost going to immediately have it drop off. So decay doesn't really matter. Sustain's not going to come into play. And release, I want it to release really quickly too, so I'm going to put that also at about the same. So I should have this really quick burst of a distortion that comes in with the sound whenever whenever it detects a MIDI note. Right now the depth is only set to 1, so there's not going to be much distortion applied. I'm going to go ahead and crank this all the way up so we can definitely hear that. And let's hear what the sound is. Yeah, it's sort of giving almost a steel drum sound. So again, without that in play, if I reduce my depth to 0, it does not apply the envelope to the parameter at all. So I'll go back to my original sound. It's like the modulator isn't even there. But if I increase the depth, yeah, now I've got that really cool effect. So yeah, let's try changing some other parameters with this. Let's try adding in a delay line. Those are fun. And so to do that, I'm going to copy part of my object here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy from the exciter and the body and anchor objects. And I'm selecting this line here, this modulator line. And I'll show you why in just a second. But I'm going to duplicate this. To duplicate this, I just hit Command D. If you're operating from Mac, I believe it'd be Control D from Windows. And it creates a copy of these objects. And let me drag them a little further away so they're a little easier to distinguish. And notice the modulator line that I copied that was connecting this body object to the modulator. It's now a different line has been copied, and it's connecting this body object to the modulator. So they're the same parameters. If you check each line, they're affecting the same parameter in the same way. So that way I don't have to reestablish it. I can have one modulator controlling both parts of my my structure here. And it also copied the mic line, so the mic is connected here. I actually don't want that, so I'm going to click on this line and delete it, because I'm going to add a different mic that's going to do something a little different. Something else I want to do is I don't want to have another mallet here for the exciter. I'm going to use, because this is going to be a delay, I'm going to make use of a audio input. So to easily change that, I just select the exciter. I go up here to the mode, and I can change it to an audio input. And now it's an audio input. And this audio input isn't going to be processing external audio into my system. So like it's picking up some of the microphone right now. But I'm going to disable that by clicking the external enabled. Once you uncheck that, it will not process any external audio. Instead, I'm going to be using a delay line, which is this guy right here. To establish a delay line connects a microphone to an audio input. So I click the delay line, drag it up here to the microphone, and then drag it over here to my audio input. And notice the little arrow that's showing the direction that sound is traveling from the microphone to the audio input. And if I click on the line, it's already selected, but I've got a delay amount here. So what this is doing is whenever I play a note, it's going to trigger my mallet. My mallet is going to introduce energy into the system. That's going to create a sound that the mic picks up. The mic is going to take that sound and it's going to send it to this audio input after this delay. It's going to wait 100 milliseconds and then send it over. And then that audio input just relays the sound back into this copy of the body structure we created. Now let me add in another microphone so we can hear what the copy sounds like. And let me get that orientated correctly. I'm going to need to move it because it put it way over here. Click and drag that. All right, and let's put another mic line from the new mic to this object. Let me check the gain. turn it up just a little bit. All right, and yeah, so let's hear how this sounds. You should hear a little bit of a delay in the sound now. Yeah, there. So let's try increasing the delay. I'm going to increase the amount of gain that the audio input is passing to the new system. See how that sounds? A little too much. Reduce that. So there's a delay line. So we can use this to affect the amount of the delay. Something else we can do is we can just not make use of this delay line at all and set our delay time from the audio input object ourselves. It has its own delay parameter. So if I set that to 0 and then use this, I've got a totally different way of controlling the delay. And I can combine them together and make use of both of them. Like that. So yeah, there is a pretty basic object with modulation in play. And we can just keep going and adding in different features and make this into whatever we want to. So I'm going to try making, or I'm going to add more modulators just so I can play with this sound a little bit. Let's grab a MIDI controller. So I'm going to grab that and bring that here. And what this does is this lets me map a physical control on my MIDI controller, a knob or slide or something like that. It lets me map it to a specific parameter. So I can control it via the knob or the slider. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to map the speed of my LFO to that. So I need to grab a modulator link. Click from here to my LFO, and the parameter I want it to control is frequency. And it's going to add about 100 hertz. That's a pretty good amount of speed. But I need to tell it which one of my controls on my MIDI controller it's going to use. To do that, I can go into the parameter MIDI CC and I can manually select it. But the easier way I find is with this sense button. If I click on the sense button and then I just touch the control, just give it a little twist, and it detects it. So now I have this knob on my MIDI controller determining the rate of that LFO. Look how it jumps up whenever I turn it. Let me reduce that depth a little bit because 100 hertz is a pretty big jump. Let's maybe go a little closer to 10. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see the knob actually turning in time with my controller. Yeah, look at that guy turn up there. So whenever I play a note, so that is a way I can just author a basic preset. And there's so much more you can add in as far as modulation and different controls. You can really go pretty deep on this. You can add incredible amounts of objects to build giant structures and tune them into pretty much anything you can imagine. But that is the basics of building a preset from scratch. All right, in this part of our preset authoring video, I want to show you how to use the templates that we've included within Anakari. If you go into our factory presets and select templates, there's 3 different varieties of them: shapes, generators, and arrays. But you can look through the various ones that we've made available for you to build from. There's all kinds of different shapes you can incorporate into your own presets. And yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's start with a blank blank canvas. I'm going to select all of the objects and hit my delete key. And yeah, let's get an object first. Let's get a template imported into this so we can build from it. I'm going to start with a shape. So to do that, I go into File, Import. I'm going to choose Factory Presets. And I'm going to scroll to the template directory and open up shapes. So these are all of the various templates we've included. There's more than 100 of them, and they are just, various designs that we thought would inspire you to create cool sounds. You can use them however you want to, but we're just going to grab pretty simple one here, and I will just, let's just grab this 2x2 square and open it. And it looks like this. Not too complicated of an object. Collection of bodies and springs with various properties that can be edited, reconfigured however you like. So once we have this shape in this structure of bodies and anchors, we need a way to introduce energy into it. We need to add an exciter. In addition to body and anchor templates, we also have types of templates where you can introduce exciters. So those are what we call arrays, part of the arrays. So going to import factory presets again, open up the template folder, and then go into arrays. There are different kinds of arrays for different purposes. There are lots of different exciter arrays that you can use, ones that use the bow, the mallet, the oscillator, etc. I'm going to choose one of the oscillator ones. Now I can choose either 4 different oscillators in a pattern or a single one. I'm going to go with a single one that is controlled by an LFO. And what this is controlling is its rotation. So oscillator, single, rotate by LFO. And when I bring that in, you see it pops right there. And yeah, it's rotating according to that LFO. If you check the modulator link, you'll see it is pointed towards the rotate Y property of the oscillator, and it's currently moving it. So what that's going to do is it's going to change the orientation of how the oscillator introduces energy. It can give you some like tremolo style effects depending on how you configure it. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this to our structure here. Click right on the oscillator. I'm going to press the C key, which is short for connect, and then click on the object I want to connect to. What that does is that establishes an exciter link. It's a quicker way of clicking the object, dragging it onto the exciter, and then clicking the object. Works the same way. So now whenever I press a key, it's introducing a little bit of energy into that. I need to increase my gain. I want more energy to go in. Yeah, now it's moving. Okay. But we're not hearing anything. And that is because there's no microphone connected to this. So we have to have some type of at least one microphone in order to capture the vibration of the system. I'm going to import another array to do that. So again, go into File, go into Import, go into Factory, back down to Templates, back into Arrays, and I'm going to choose a mic array. Lots of different ones. I'm going to choose one of the, let's do the quad, do another rotator one, where the rotation is controlled by an envelope modulator. So there's going to be 4 microphones that all rotate according to an envelope. So I bring that in, and there they are. And let's move them over here. All right, and now I have to connect these microphones to the objects they're going to pick up. So easiest way to do that, same as the oscillator, just click, press the C key, and choose where I'm going to connect that. So I'm just going to do some seemingly random connections here. All right, so I've got my microphones connected to objects. I've got my oscillator in play. This should be making sound now. Let's see what it sounds like. Kind of quiet. You can also see when I'm pressing the key, it's rotating my microphones. That is part of the trigger envelope. So I'm going to select my microphones I'll just click each one, hold down the Shift key, and then select each one. And now I'll adjust the gain altogether for each one. So let's turn up the sound so we hear it a little better. Yeah, that's a little more audible. So yeah, that's a very simple way you can put different templates together, different arrays to create your own preset without having to build everything from scratch. All right, the last thing I'd like to show you is how to create presets using some of our generator templates. Generator templates could be thought of as kind of like pre-made synthesizers, in that all you really have to do instead of adding extra objects and changing is just going in and adjusting the parameters to make it sound how you want it to sound. So that's located within the template folder within generators. And there are lots of different ones. They're all based on the oscillator object, from very simple ones with a single oscillator to very advanced ones with multiple oscillators. So I'm going to choose the one Advanced Oscillator Quad A. And this is what this looks like. It is 4 different oscillators that are all running through 4 different body structures into 4 different microphones. But as you can see, they have a lot of shared modulators that are affecting various parameters. And some of them have their own modulators. So the default sound sounds like this. But I can go in and just easily change any parameters to start adjusting that. So right off the bat, if I look, I can see I've got one sine oscillator that is operating and 3 others that the gain is turned all the way down. So just by raising the gain on one of them, for instance, I'll choose the rectangle shape, it will change the sound like this. And yeah, I know the rectangle shape makes use of the pulse width parameter, which is controlled by this LFO. So if I go into this modulator link line, you can see it's already set to control pulse width. If I increase the depth, it will modulate that parameter for the oscillator as I play. And I can just make several changes like that and just, little by little, property by property, adjust this pre-made structure into something that sounds like I want it to sound. And as you explore the different modulation links, you can see what we've set up for you: panning properties and rotation parameters that can easily be put into play just by adjusting the depth control. And yes, we just encourage anyone to go into these and start tweaking your own parameters, come up with your own sounds. And you can easily adjust the shapes if you want to. You could go in and, it's like, I don't really need these. So let's just take out that part of the shape and operate with this. So please do explore all of the various templates we've provided. Come up with your own configurations, your own sounds, and share them with us. We're anxious to see how you make use of this. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you learned some more about using Anukari, and hope you're excited about getting out there and doing your own sound designs with it. Till next time, have a great day.